Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming at you to showcase something that I don't think I've ever showcased on this channel before. Having just showcased the Freddy's Dead Laser video disc from 1992, I thought it only made sense to follow up that video with this video. Coming at you to showcase for the very first time a soundtrack, and the very first time also a soundtrack tape that I got in the fall of 1991 for basically the Brian May Freddy's Dead soundtrack slash score for Freddy's Dead, the motion picture. And look at that artwork. It's really goofy ass artwork. I've never seen this artwork anywhere else but the soundtrack. It seems like I don't know if that was ever used for, a movie poster in this country or any other country, but it's kind of underwhelming poster art, almost like a very first attempt at poster art with a goofy ass cracked gravestone behind Freddy there, and just a lame ass attempt at Freddy Glove. And you can see Lisa Zane character there and just some generic girl in bed there. This is the original motion picture soundtrack for Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, music composed and conducted by Brian May, and this is put out in North America by, I can never say this record label, Varice Sarabande. The one thing I never liked about this outfit is they always had the boring, just plain, very branded spine of cassette tapes and also CDs when I started buying CDs. In 1991 I didn't have a CD player yet. I wouldn't get a CD player until 1993. Here's the back here, probably show you in a better photo, but the back. It says distributed in the United States by Uni Distribution Group. Taking the cassette out, it says selections from the original score. For titles, see insert, music composed and conducted by Brian May, copyright 1991, New Line Cinema, all rights reserved. As you can see here, this is side one. This is a high quality HQ audio cassette. You got Dolby HX Pro, then you've got Freddy's Dead, Final Nightmare, original motion picture soundtrack, VSC-5333. I'll just show you guys this insert in digital photo pictures. You got Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, you've got credits, not that you could barely ever read those. Side one, there's a lot here, look at that, 17 individual tracks. I mean, you can say tracks even though I guess this is a tape, they're still I guess tracks. Side two you've got 10 in the credits here, which you can read if you want. So yeah, when I saw Freddy's Dead in the theater with my dad in the fall of 1991, it was the first Nightmare on Elm Street, I guess I could say the first Freddy movie I ever saw in the theater. I was really taken with it, and still to this day it's my third favorite Freddy movie after the first and second, and then Freddy's Dead is my third favorite of the Freddy films. I really think that it's really got this really, really great just thing about it. Unfortunately, the thing, having watched it recently in my older age, the thing I think that doesn't hold up very well about it is the last act. The Killing of Freddy act that unfortunately was took place in 3D and all this and that. I think the last act, the last scene, is probably one of the weakest scenes or the weakest part about the movie, unfortunately. But everything that leads up to the ending I think is just really fantastic in this movie, and really a really fitting, a fitting final outing for Freddy. And it should be said, although that of course New Nightmare and Freddy's vs. Jason came out after this, for me this is the last Nightmare on Elm Street / Freddy movie. I don't really consider New Nightmare canon, if you will, although I do think New Nightmare is good for what it is and an interesting idea and stuff. It's definitely not a Freddy movie in my opinion. Freddy's Dead for me marks the end of the Freddy era. One of the many things I loved about Freddy's Dead in the fall of 1991 after seeing it in the theater was, of course, the score. I think this might very well be the first time since the second movie, and I think the second movie, until Freddy's Dead came out, might be the only one, don't quote me, but I'm thinking the second movie might be the only one with like an orchestral, actual kind of fancy schmancy score. I was going to say schmore. Fancy smanchy score done by I want to say it was Christopher Young who did the score for Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 or Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and the music in that I really love. So I think it's possible that this is the first time that since that movie that a Nightmare on Elm Street / Freddy movie got a more of an orchestral, actually really kind of classy score for the movie, and I absolutely loved it from the very beginning. And obviously I got the tape not long after seeing the movie and really loved it. I can only assume that there's an audio, or I mean a soundtrack for the songs that also appear in the movie, because that's one thing I can remember liking at the time too. And what's ironic is I wasn't so much of a fan of like quote-unquote contemporary or popular music at the time. I was more listening to like classical music. 1991 I got really into, I discovered and really got into big band music, mainly because of the two old tracks from Rocketeer soundtrack, you know, Begin to Begin and whatever the other one is, When Your Lover Has Gone or whatever, really introduced me into big band, you know, kind of 30s and 40s era music and stuff like that. And I was doing classical and big band music and film scores and stuff. But it's funny because the songs actually that are featured in Freddy's Dead were some of the first more contemporary songs that I can remember really liking. And you know, it was a bummer because when I got, you know, what I thought about this tape recently, I was like, I thought it would, you know, maybe it was part score and part songs. Alas, it was only you know, film score soundtrack. As I said, one can assume that they also put out a soundtrack for the songs that were featured in this movie. But there were a lot of things I love about Freddy's Dead, obviously including the songs that were featured in it and the score as well. So I guess that'll pretty much do it for this particular showcasing video. Thanks a lot for watching, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.